Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm of course your host Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good Sunday. Here in Edmonton, it is cold, overcast. Perfect time to do another video. I'm joined by Ryan Gavalier. How you doing, Ryan?
I'm good. I'm not really sure how the weather is outside. I haven't looked yet today, but things are going great.
Yeah. Well, that's good. That's good. Ladies and gentlemen, we are gonna have a bit of fun with this video. Um, I'll set this up for you guys. A few months back when I started the channel, I did a video series called Was This Their Best? And one of the topics was Stevie Nicks and her debut solo release, Belladonna. I contend at that point, I said that in my opinion was her best release. And statistics has shown that every release after that has gone down in popularity and in sales. I still contend that although I have my personal beliefs and opinions of Stevie Nicks as of late, we'll not go into that, or maybe we will at some point, but I still do contend that as far as releases and song quality and composition and production, that it is probably one of her best releases, even though it was her first solo release. So I'll give a bit of background. Belladonna was released on July 27th, 1981 through Modern Records, distributed through Atlantic. The material for the album was recorded during downtime for the recording, during the recording of Tusk from 79. She had recorded a bunch of demos for this album. None of them made it to the album. She recorded some more stuff for the album. She enlisted the production duties. Let me start that again. She enlisted Jimmy Iovine to handle production duties.
And Tom
Tom,
Petty.
Tom Petty also came on board to produce a couple of songs off the album. 10 tracks. The album clocks in at 41 minutes and 55 seconds. Had 4 singles released from the album. Stop Dragging My Heart Around, After the Glitter Fades, and you're gonna have to help me on the last 2 right now because I'm having a brain fart.
Probably Edge of
Um,
17 and Leather and Lace.
yes, Edge of 17 and Leather and Lace. Leather and Lace, from what I did research on, duet with Don
Don
Henley,
Henley.
her ex love. She had many ex loves, but we won't go into that. Um, Leather and Lace, from what I also read, was dedicated to William Jennings and Jesse Coulter at the time. Again, I still do contend that among her solo releases, this is probably her best one. But I will curve my opinion for now. I will pass it over to Brian Gavalier, who is joining us. What is your opinion, Ryan?
Well, I don't think it's a perfect album, but I like it a lot. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, like Belladonna, the title track is a beautiful, beautiful song.
Yeah.
She gives a really passionate vocal performance. There's great piano playing on it. It's just got a good atmosphere to it. It was making me tear up yesterday. It's also a pretty long song. It's like 5 or 6 minutes long, something like that.
Yeah.
So it feels kind of epic as like an opener. Kind of Woman's pretty cool. It's a good like it's I don't know, it's like kind of a mid-tempo like sort of emotional song. She gives another like good mournful vocal performance on it. I don't think it's one of the stronger songs on the album, but it's still good stuff. Stop Dragging My Heart Around, which is the only song on the album that she didn't write at all.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was written by
actually
Mike Campbell and Tom Petty. Yeah.
just Mike Campbell.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, who's from Tom Petty's
Sorry.
band.
The Heartbreakers.
Um,
That's right.
yeah, which is a pretty masterful song. I mean, it's a great duo by the two of them. Um, I think that Tom actually gives probably one of his best vocal performances. ever. And I like the guitar playing on that one, the lead and everything. It's really good stuff. Think About It's another pretty beautiful song. I like that one a lot. After the Glitter Fades is probably my least favorite song on the album. It's just kind of boring in my opinion. Um, but Edge of 17, masterpiece. One of the best songs ever made. I've loved that song since I was a little kid. I remember having it on my iPod shuffle growing up.
Yeah.
Um, and I would just jam out to that. And I hear it at work all the time too now. And you'll see me just belting out some Stevie at work. No matter how many customers are there, I'm just like going into it. It's just such
Yeah.
a great song.
Yeah.
Um, How Still My Love, great bass line on that song. Just a cool atmosphere. That feels very much like a Tusk track, in my opinion. Kind of like almost the vibes that you get on something like Brown Eyes or Gypsy is not
Gypsy
on
was
that
from
album.
Mirage.
That's on, yeah, Mirage. I'm thinking of the other song, Sarah.
Sarah.
Just kind of those vibes, sort of. Leather and Lace. I've gone back and forth in my life on that song. At times, I think it's cheesy schlock. Um, at times, I've kind of liked it. And today, I liked it, honestly. I don't know. It's not the best thing ever, but it's sweet. You know, Don Henley gives a good vocal performance. Stevie gives a good vocal performance. I think it's that riff that really is kind of the schlocky part to me. It's a little too sparkly for my taste,
Yeah.
but I don't know. It's good. Outside the Rain, I like that. It's another kind of moody track. There's a lot of moody stuff on here, and I kind of forgot about that. Um, and then Highwayman, the closer, kind of like a country-ish type of song, sort of.
Yeah.
Um, and I really like it. I think it's a beautiful song. Um, so I used to not really like this album too much, um, other than a couple of the tracks, but I think that my issues with it have gone kind of gone away over time. I used to feel like the production felt a little bit flat. I kind of have a different idea of what I like in production these days, so I'm enjoying it a lot more.
Yeah.
Um, and honestly, Stevie's voice on the album was a lot better than I remembered. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, I think she was still kind of in her prime by the time that this album came out. And there really is a lot of really good songs. I added, let me see here. I added a few songs to my playlist, so I think that's a good way of telling me what I think the highlight tracks are. I put Belladonna, Think About It, Stop Dragging My Heart Around, Kind of Woman, and How Still My Love. Those are my
Tho-
favorite songs on the
Those are the
album.
ones that stand out to you. Okay.
Oh, and then Edge of 17, of course, but that was already on my playlist from a while ago. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for me, I was reading up on this album, into the, for example, like the composition of Edge of 17, that guitar riff that starts at 16th, no, like on the guitar riff, that's iconic, right? I mean, like when you hear that riff, right, you know who it is. And either it's, you can even tell, I mean, okay, it was sampled heavily. It serves as the basis of the track from Destiny's Child, Bootylicious, right? Like, I mean, they sampled it heavily on that track, and again, it serves as a foundation. But I mean, just that whole track itself, it is iconic when you hear it now. Like, it's still played on rock radio, like classic rock radio today, right? And I was reading up on it that it was done on minor chords, like C, D, E minor chords, right? Like, just it's iconic. It's but I think for this album overall, when you listen to it, um, it almost sounds like new country.
mhm.
Do you know what I
It
mean?
really does.
Yeah, it sounds like it could have, like it could fit into the, mold of New Country, dare I say. I don't want to say the T name, the T word, Taylor Swift, back when she started, but there
Wait,
will
so
be
are we
no
saying new NEW or are we saying NU country? New country.
NEW. We go through this all the time, guys. I'm telling you. No, it could really, to me, the kind of music, the type of music that's on here, the arrangements, the compositions, it could easily fit into a country on a country album, like in the country market, right? It could be
Yeah,
promoted like that. I think that the production that Jimmy Iovine does is just, for me, it's flawless. It, the drums are really prominent, a lot of heavy bass on it on all the tracks, and even like the contributions from the musicians on this album, like Don Henley, Don Felder. You've got Ben Montench. Sorry guys, from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, like Mike Campbell contributing "Stop Dragging My Heart Around." Um, Even Roy Bittan from the E Street Band, helped her compose the music for Think About It. I mean, the star power on this album is just phenomenal, right? In terms
mhm.
of, the help, right? Um, and it's sad that, I mean, well, in terms of chart performance, this album hit number 2 in Canada on the RPM chart, number 1 in the US, number 1 in Australia, number 11 in the UK. I mean, for a first album out of the gate, boom, like it hit big. And I remember when this album first came out, like I remember seeing the video for "Stop Dragging My Heart Around" as a kid and hearing the music from this album, and it was, you couldn't turn around without seeing this album like on commercials and stuff and promoted and stuff. It was heavily promoted.
Yeah.
Um,
It's a
and
great album cover too.
it's iconic, right? It
Hmm.
is iconic. And I mean, how Still My Love, I mean, that could have been from uh from one of the writing sessions for Tusk. I mean, you think of it being in Fleetwood Mac, even like Stevie Nicks said at the time, in Fleetwood Mac you had 3 writers with 3 strong personalities. So for every album, you're lucky if you got maybe 3 songs per album featured. So there had to be a lot of leftover in terms of her material, right? So um I don't know. Like, again, Belladonna, if you want to go through the track listing, Belladonna is, Italian for beautiful woman, right? Um Fantastic track, fantastic, really textured piece of music, really, beautifully orchestrated, beautifully put together. Kind of woman, again, it falls in the same vein. "Stop Dragging My Heart Around," the big breakout single from the album. Good track. There is a track that uh, Tom Petty had written for her for this album called "Insider." And the rumor, well, I saw this on the Tom Petty documentary. They were in the studio working out the arrangements, and he's in the booth with her singing, the melody for her. This is how you do it. And he's doing it in a high falsetto kind of, you know, range. And he's singing it for her. And he says to her at one point, he says, "I can't give you this song. I like it too much. I need to keep it." And Stevie Nicks says, "You're right. It's for you. It's not for me. It's a good song, but it's not for me. You need to keep it." So I think this happened before he gave her "Stop Dragging My Heart Around." Right. So an Insider is a good song. Like, it is a good song. So yeah, think about it. again, another good one. Very middle of the road. None of these songs are really heavy at all. They're not sort of heavy rocking songs. I mean, if you look up the information for the album, it's listed as, like a rock album. It's not really a heavy rock album. It's more of a middle of the road, adult contemporary country album kind of thing, right? I mean, After the Glitter Fades has to be, aside from Edge of 17, my favorite song on the album. I mean, it talks about the character and wondering when all this goes, when all this is gone, when the fame leaves you, when you're left, after you're forgotten about, kind of thing. Are you gonna feel the same about it? If you're not gonna
Yeah.
get the adulation from your fans and from the, record buying public, is it gonna feel the same? Right? I mean, that's
That's
heavy and
yeah,
she was what at the time? How old was she at the time, right?
probably 30s, early 30s,
Probably
maybe
early
late
30s. Yeah.
20s.
Yeah. So I mean, again, Edge of 17, fantastic. I remember seeing her do this performance of this on Saturday Night Live, right? And she had the drummer for, I forget his name, but the drummer for Billy Joel on the drums, and he's bashing away, going crazy, like, like his hands all over the place, all over the drum kit, right? And he's like, is he in time or what? Is he keeping this in time, or is there a back in track? But no, it was live. It was done live. Um, Again, How Still My Love. I mean, like, it could be, it could be. I don't want to say a reject, but it could be like a leftover from the Tusk sessions. It has to have been. Uh,
It feels like it.
yeah, yeah. Leather and
Eh,
Lace. I mean, fantastic song. I mean, very, again, another country tinged type of track, right?
You and the moonlight.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. There you go. I mean, and she's basically telling him that, I know you'll never leave me because you're too wrapped up with me, like you're too fixated on me, like, even, it's never going to end. You can say that you're going to leave and we're going to be apart, but you'll always come back to me, right? And they had already broken up by this point, she and Don Henley, by about 3 years, you know. So, and she's still saying, you're still going to come back to me. And he's like, I don't think so. So, I mean, it's like, it's a little, a little, little love triangle going on there. And then she took up with Joe Walsh, so we won't even go there.
She
Yeah,
went the Rocky Mountain way.
pretty much for about 3 years there. Outside the Rain, yeah, I mean, it's an okay track. I mean, again, the Highwaymen, for me, it almost feels like Waylon Jennings could be singing this song. It's
Yeah.
this album is very heavily tinged towards country or new country. I just, and that's where, for me, that's where the strength lies,
Yeah. I
right?
think that's what I had to realize with Stevie too.
Yeah.
Because when I tried to think of her as a rock vocalist, I'm like, she's not really a great rock vocalist. But when I started thinking of her as a country vocalist, I'm like, she's about as good as it gets.
So, I mean, yeah, and you're right. You're right. And according to the information that I got, that I looked up again, Wikipedia and all that, right? This album went 4 times platinum by 1990. It quickly went like platinum within 3 months of it being released, right? So, um, is it safe to say that your assessment of the album has changed slightly, or
Oh
overall?
yeah, it's changed a lot. I mean, I would say like if I had to give this album a rating, I'd probably give it like an 8 out of 10. It's
Okay.
not perfect in my opinion. But it's really, really good. It was an extremely enjoyable listen, and it's one that I'll definitely be listening to a lot more Um, I mean, like I said, there was a few songs I already liked on it, but there was some stuff that I used to not really care for. But I think giving it space and going in with like low expectations made me realize there's a lot more to love here than I thought there was. I mean, I think it's like on par with, or not quite on par because it doesn't have Christine McVie. Like, she's my favorite part of Fleetwood Mac, like Brown Eyes and stuff. But like, I'd say in terms of like Stevie's tracks and stuff, I think it's on par with everything that's on Tusk, if not better.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned Christine McVie because I think from what I read, she wrote "Think About It" for the Christine McVie for the Tusk album and for her to sing.
Well, she has there's a song on there. I think it's called Think About Me on Tusk. Give me one sec.
Yeah,
Think About Me. That's what it is.
yeah,
And that's a Christine song. That's a really great song, actually.
yeah,
Um, because she's the best part of that album, Christine
yeah,
McVie.
yeah, yeah. What would you, being a musician and a damn fine one that you are, um,
Thank you.
and he's guys, you really have to listen to Ryan stuff. He's got music coming out of his ears like you would not believe. He's really talented, multi-instrumentalist, I dare to say. What, as a producer and arranger, what would you have done differently for this album in terms of production or arranging?
Nothing really.
Nothing at all.
I mean, like, I think it's if anything, it's like minor nitpicks. Like I said, Leather and Lace, that opening is just really schlocky, but that's just my opinion. They could have done something a little bit moodier, a little less sparkly and stuff. But other than that, like I think it's a really well produced album. I was actually kind of surprised with how much I liked the sound on it.
Okay. No, because I remember when we were talking about it, because I remember you saying to me like you'd like to do an episode on this because you really did not like that. And he says, because guys, he was saying to me, "Oh no, I really want to, can't wait to tear into that album." And when we do the episode, and I'm like, okay, well, it's a good album. What's it gonna tear into, kind of a thing. But it's almost like you kind of went the other way, sort of, right? I mean, on it.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I told you, I'm willing to revisit it, and I was pleased with what I heard. I think in my memory it sounded shittier than it did.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, it's a good album. It's a really good album, actually. I think you could definitely hear Tom Petty on it, like even more than just Stop Dragging My Heart Around. Some of the guitar playing and stuff, you could definitely hear like that moodiness and stuff of like some Heartbreakers type of stuff. And like I said, Stevie sings her ass off. She has some cool lyrics throughout the album too. After the glitter fades, I know you said it was one of your favorites. For me, it just kind of bored me personally. I really think that's probably the weakest track for me on the album.
Really?
Not that not that the lyrics aren't cool, because
Hmm.
they are. I think it's kind of the arrangement on that one. It's a little boring to me, but the rest of the album though I like. So I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
Okay. Um, I'd give it a 9.
Nice.
Like really. Um, when you hear this album compared to, I mean, she had a big hit with the Wild Heart in '83, of course. And that was stemmed from the huge hit that she had with Stand Back, with, which was, if people didn't know, was inspired by Little Red Corvette. and that Prince played an Oberheim synthesizer on the track Stand Back. He played the 1/16th note on the keyboard on the synthesizer, but he wasn't allowed to be credited on the album due to contractual situations with Warner Brothers. Um,
Interesting.
yeah, no, just a quick note. Are you okay there?
Oh yeah.
Because you scratched your arm. I thought maybe something was wrong. Okay.
No, I'm all right.
Um, no, the story goes she wrote Stand Back after listening to Little Red Corvette on the album of 1999. And she called Prince in and said, I've got this song. Half hour later, this guy shows up in the parking lot in a purple motorcycle. It was Prince. They were at Sunset Sound, and he would record at Sunset Sound all the time. So he goes in, he listens to the demo. He's like, okay. And he says to her, I know what you're trying to do. I understand it. I get it. So she says, do you want to do anything on it? He's like, yeah, I got an idea. So he goes in and they set up the Oberheim synthesizer. He plays almost sounds like a hi-hat sound, like that, the 1/16th note on the keyboard. And then he plays on the bridge to Stand Back. Jumps off on his motorcycle, takes off. They hadn't seen each other for 10 years after that, right? So, I mean, it was just one of those things. But a little side note. But let me ask you this: when do you think her quality of music started to dive down in terms of her output?
Eh, I don't know. I haven't really listened to any full albums after this one.
Okay.
I've heard like occasional songs and they're just kind of meh, like I mean, so I don't know. I would have to do a little bit more research. This and Fleetwood Mac are really the most I know of her on a large output.
Yeah. Well, for me, I'd have to say that she started to go down with rock a little, in terms of um, quality of music and like what she was writing, and just the quality of the content started to go down for me. I mean, this was her. Um, it's bad to say, but for me, this was her zenith, like her crowning moment
Yeah.
kind of thing. So
I just
uh,
remember that shitty cover of Silent Night she did.
really, okay. You see, I didn't
Yeah,
even hear that. And you don't know about that. Um,
and then I mean Stand Back was fine. And Wild Heart and stuff like it's all fine. I mean Stevie's good. Um I think that like this though is a really well fleshed out album. And obviously her stuff with Fleetwood Mac is really well fleshed out. I just think that what I've heard later stuff just sounds kind of middle of the road.
okay. Here's a question for you. After listening to this album and liking it, like we both do, how much of it do you think is her ability to write songs, and how much of it is good production and arrangements
Well,
that makes the album soar?
I think it's a mix. I mean, like, she has cool lyrics, even though they don't really make sense. Like, obviously, she's doing some cool things with them, and like, I mean, the production obviously helped, but that all happened with any solo artist that isn't really much of an instrumentalist themselves. Like, that happens all the time. I don't think it's anything that's like isolated to her. I mean, you look
Yeah,
at someone like Pat Benatar or something like obviously all she's really doing is singing the songs. Or even though Madonna does some production stuff or later on, I mean earlier on, like, you know. but it's all great stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, think of someone like, well, I feel like Prince is like the exception. He really is, because he was doing everything. But like for a lot of these solo artists, it's like, okay, they can write some lyrics, maybe play like one or two instruments, but then after that, it's the producers and then the rest of the people who come in that help make the album great. It's just a joint effort.
I no, I tend to agree. Just a little side note, I did an episode recently a few days ago on Kate Bush, on her album The Red Shoes, and looking into the history of the album and realizing that she's a musician. She plays bass, piano, keyboards.
Yeah,
She does the all production. Um, Even Prince contributed on one of the songs, and he deferred to her. He let her, like, he deferred to her for production and stuff, right?
yeah.
So
Even look at
um
like Peter Gabriel. How many musicians did he have on his albums?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Again with Stevie Nicks, the I mean, um her relationship with Lindsey Buckingham is well noted. It's all documented. It's very dramatic. It's very out there in the public eye. And he was
Yeah,
saying on a documentary that, when they were in the midst of breaking up, and she took up with Mick Fleetwood during the recording of Rumors, that there were times when, she would come to Lindsay with just skeletons of songs, and he had to turn them into proper productions. And he says there were times when he didn't want to do that. Like, his heart wasn't into it. Like, he didn't want to help her, as it were, right? So,
yeah,
um,
yeah. I just think they're both bitter.
yeah.
That's
I
honest.
mean,
I just think like I take anything that either of them say with a grain of salt.
yeah, no, no, no. Yeah. So, I mean, just to get back to my original question was, how much of this album do you think is a mix of her writing good songs, and good production from Jimmy Iovine? Do you think it's a 50-50, or a bit of a slant either way, or
Hmm.
it's
I
hard,
don't know.
isn't it?
I'd probably go. I mean, it's hard to say,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I don't know. I think I actually like more than Jimmy Iovine. I'd probably give Tom Petty or Tom Petty credit because, like I said, I can really hear him and some of the guys from his band. I mean, Jimmy did a good job with it, but I don't know. I think it still feels very much like a Stevie Nicks solo album.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't think it feels like a producer's project. I think it feels like her album, and I think that um like I said, she had good lyrics, she had great vocals on it,
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
melodies, which is all her. Um I guess 50-50. I mean, there's no way for me to really say,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Okay, no, I'm sorry, that was a bit of an unfair question, but no, I get what you're saying about it. You can hear, I can, now that you mention it, I can hear Tom Petty's influence,
mhm.
like in the production, like just in the arrangements and stuff. And it, to be fair too, it was said that Tom Petty said that in another interview, that and Stevie Nicks had said, if Tom Petty had asked her to join the Heartbreakers in '79, she would have left Fleetwood Mac and joined the Heartbreakers.
I wish she would have.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
honestly. I mean, and I love Fleetwood Mac, but I think that could have been sick.
Yeah.
Her with Tom Petty. That could have been amazing. And then she could have done her solos. I mean, she could have done all of it. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
like
No, I
to
know.
be honest, like they were all
Actually,
doing it. they were all doing enough coke back then to be up all night. Like they could
No,
have
true
been in
enough.
three bands. Like,
True enough. True
like
enough. True enough. No, because the story goes was that she said to him, I want to be in the Heartbreakers. I want to join your band. And he'd say to her, like, Stevie, there are no women in the Heartbreakers. She goes, I know, but I want to be in your band and we're good together. Like, just tell me and I'll do it. Like, and he's like, no, Stevie, like, you're not joining the Heartbreakers. That's it. I mean,
I
we
think he
have
made a
you
bad
have,
choice.
hmm?
I think he made a bad choice.
um, a little side note, when she started to write for her album, uh, I think it's 2001's Trouble in Shangri-La. I think that's the name of the album. It's got the song on it Every Day. She went out to dinner with Tom Petty one night, and she asked him to help her write some songs for the album. And he looked at her and he says, no. And she said, what do you mean no? He says, you are Stevie Nicks. You write songs. You are a songwriter. You are a poet. You can do this. You do not need me to do this for you or help you with it.
Yeah.
You are going to go back and you are going to sit down and you're going to write an album again. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to help you with it because you don't need my help. And she said that was the kick in the ass that she needed in order to rejuvenate herself again, like to get herself up and going again. So, but
Yeah. I mean, he's right. She writes some pretty good songs.
yeah,
I mean, regardless of what Lindsay said in the past, I mean, there's probably some truth to what he said. So I know like but he's a producer. That's his job. Like, I'm sorry.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. No, it's
don't
true.
bitch. That's what producers do. They make something out of something. Like, it's not like it's an isolated to Stevie thing. He's just bitter because they broke up. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that's just
No, it's true. It's true.
yeah.
Yeah. No, it's
She
true.
has really good songs. I mean, she pooped out Gold Dust Woman, Dreams.
Did you just say she pooped out Gold Dust Woman?
Yeah.
You heard it here, folks. I didn't say it. He did it. He said it. Okay. Um,
Um,
I heard that.
Dreams,
Yeah.
Landslide. I mean, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Most of the band's best songs. I mean, I don't hear people going, "Oh yeah, Monday morning." Like,
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah. Yeah.
sorry, but like,
No,
like
I got you. I got you. Okay. Well, I mean, and I'm gonna spoiler alert, listening to this album has prompted me to do a Stevie Nicks album ranking.
that's cool.
And if you want to join me in on that one, we can do that, or I'll do it solo. But there is going to be a Stevie Nicks album ranking coming up soon.
We'll
And
talk about it.
luckily she doesn't have a lot of albums to rank and stuff. But
That's what my question was gonna be.
no,
How
she
much
doesn't.
home?
No, it's not a lot of homework. Don't worry about it. So yeah, in closing, I honestly do think that with what I've listened to, maybe when I go back to listen to the other albums, um, maybe I'll change my mind. But at this point, for me, Belladonna for me is Stevie Nicks' best album. Okay. So ladies and gentlemen, after watching this video, please put down in the comments below what you think. Do you like Belladonna? Do you not like Belladonna? Do you think that Stevie Nicks is a talent? Do you think that she is not a talent? Do you think that she rides on people's coattails? Do you think that she is an entity all on her own? So, in her own right. So please let us know what you think of Stevie Nicks and Belladonna. And Ryan, what do you've got coming up on your end of things in terms of music? Because I know you're
Mm,
quite prolific yourself.
yeah, I think like I'm working on stuff right now. Nothing I really want to announce at the moment because I'm very much in the creating stages.
Okay.
Um, I've just been doing a lot of stuff, doing a lot of recording, doing a lot of composing, writing a lot of lyrics, which is different for me because a lot of the stuff I've put out so far is
Yeah,
instrumental, but I'm trying to shift gears a little and work on some songs. So there's things coming out, and I'm working with a couple of the artists on my label too on some stuff right now. Not really ready to announce anything at the moment though, but definitely go check out my solo album, Ryan Gavalier's Night of the Living Dead.
yeah,
You find it on all major streaming and Bandcamp. There's CDs available too. Um, Shadow Plays Behavioral Futures Marketplace, same situation. Rand Anthony Kelly's No Easy Access, same situation. And then you can hear my first two EPs on all major streaming as well.
that's right.
But like I said, I'm very much in the creative stages right now. I've been making a lot more complex drum rhythms. I've been doing a lot more on the guitar, singing a lot more. So yeah, more to be
Cool.
announced in the future.
That's cool. No, guys, please check out Ryan's website, Gavalier Productions. I'll put a link in the description below. He's a major talent. Please check out Ryan Gavalier's Night of the Living Dead. It'll fucking freak the hell out of you. It is spooky. It is eerie. It is quite good. It is really good. It'll scare the
Thank
shit
you.
out of you at some point. Like if you want to get scared, I'm telling you, when you play Ryan Gavalier's Night of the Living Dead, I've told you before, put the couch up against the wall. Don't look behind you if you're that scared, because I mean these tracks will scare the crap out of you, literally. Wear a diaper if you have to. I'm not kidding. So
I have to, and I listen to it. He's
there
not
you
lying,
go.
guys.
No,
Yeah.
seriously, he does fantastic work on this album. It is quite eerie. Um, so that's it for now, ladies and gentlemen. For Mr. Ryan Gavalier, I am Armando Venditti. Just what's coming up on the channel. Sorry, it's early morning here for me. Only had 2 coffees. I will be doing a show with Mr. Andrew Cox. We will be talking about our top 3 Pat Metheny albums. And that's coming up, taping on Saturday. And Mr. Brian McFadden's coming back on the channel. We will be doing an album discussion. It'll be an album discussion slash live album spotlight on Rush, All the World's a Stage from 1976. We're going to be taping that on Tuesday, so that's coming up on the channel. And a lot more to come. A lot more shows coming up with Mr. Bill Schuster. Once I get back in touch with him, he's been quite busy lately. And Mr. Peter Kent from the Lizard King channel will be doing more shows with me. He's been quite busy over the past few weeks, but we're going to get back in touch and start doing more shows. And also, please check out my video playlist on my page on YouTube. I did a show recently with Grant and Arthur on Grant's Rock Warehouse on the Tea Party on their let's put it this way, on their 5th/4th major label release triptych from 1999. That's getting some good views, so please check that out. That's it for now, ladies and gentlemen. Please look after yourselves and one another. For Mr. Ryan Gavalier, I am Armando Venditti. Hoping you guys are having a good day, and we will see you very soon with a new video. Bye for now.